Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a figure shrouded in, well, quite a bit of digital mystery. SPYDIRBYTE.
Hmm.
You've probably heard the name swirling around discussions about the anonymous collective.
Definitely. He's a self-proclaimed hacker, and his identity, it's this weird mix of digital breadcrumbs and his own often unfiltered accounts. Very unusual.
Right. So to try and get to the core of who he is, we've pulled together quite a stack of sources.
Yeah, everything from an OSINT report that tracks his online presence, his own written declarations, and even a rare pre-long audio interview.
So our mission today really is to take these pieces and try to, understand the person behind this really complex digital persona.
He paints this picture of himself shaped by what he calls profound early trauma. Skills kind of sharpened in that tough environment.
And then this drive for a very specific kind of digital justice operating under that decentralized anonymous banner.
The narrative he lays out about his beginnings, it's pretty intense.
Yeah. He describes himself as, and this is a quote, the result of pain, abuse, anger, and awakening.
Wow.
He talks about a really difficult childhood, losing his biological mother early, then facing severe abuse and isolation, even feeling locked away for long periods.
And it's clear from the sources, like that OSINT analysis we mentioned, that this early trauma was absolutely foundational for him. He felt judged, tired of the abuse.
And it seems like that really fueled his early rebellion, his path online.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how he talks about being doxxed and swatted himself at just 15.
Which, according to him, didn't shut him down at all.
No, it actually pushed him to learn and master those exact same tactics. It's kind of ironic.
Yeah, he says instead of being broken by it, that experience built something cold and powerful inside.
Feeling disowned, he describes living this sort of double life. A street kid in gangs offline.
And a hacker chasing chaos and control in the digital world.
And that drive for control, that seems to be where the code really enters the picture for him.
He learned early on, and apparently, that digital power could be more significant, maybe even safer, than physical force.
His journey into hacking culture started way back, maybe around 2009. He's spending time in places like IRC channels, 4chan.
Really soaking up that early, kind of chaotic, anonymous ethos, right?
Exactly. He started hacking young, around 13, he claims.
Initially, it was things like phishing and social engineering, but he quickly moved into malware.
He even claims he stole his first computer just to get online. Wild.
And he mentions tools like Dark Comet, right, with this surprising fondness, describing them like an unstoppable superpower.
He progressed from using tools to writing his own malware. He even says he helped develop Orcus RET.
For him, malware wasn't just about damage. It was fundamentally about getting deep control. His voice was spying in directories.
Which you can see right in his name, SPYDIRBYTE. He breaks it down.
Oh.
Spying in directories using malware.
He actually has a quote, "Malware maketh the man."
But here's where his own perspective offers, well, a surprising insight, I think. Despite all that focus on code and malware, he states his most critical skill, the real foundation, is social engineering.
Right. He says 99.9% of hacking is social engineering. It's about reading people, knowing who's lying. That was his main tool.
More than the tech itself. And this deep dive into social dynamics, into control, that seems to be what ultimately connected him to Anonymous.
He claims affiliation since 2009, but really becoming active in operations around 2011.
And the movement, he felt, gave him freedom. Freedom from judgment.
In Anonymous, he could just be about his cause, his skills, separate from his complicated past.
And he strongly identifies with Anonymous's core mission, exposing corruption, fighting for justice and freedom.
What's particularly striking in his account is how he ties this whole digital fight back to his Native American heritage.
He says it's in his blood to fight when the system turns against the people. Drawing a direct line there.
Yeah, between his digital activism and historical struggles, he also expresses admiration for figures like Edward Snowden.
Saying if Snowden couldn't stand by, neither can he.
Okay, but now, the sources also contain his very candid admission about what he calls his black hat interlude.
Right, a period where he stepped away from the Anonymous Collective and admittedly engaged in criminal activity for profit and power.
He confesses that during this time, his main source of income was selling stolen identities, SSNs, credit cards, full profiles.
Which others then used for fraud. He even admits acting as an information broker for what he termed hitman services.
Providing addresses for targets, he claims prices could range dramatically depending on the person.
He attributes this entire period, this lashing out, as he puts it, to being drowning in anger from that earlier trauma.
He acknowledges doing things he's not proud of, openly admits to being a serial swatter, doxer, identity seller.
And that he damaged relationships because of it. He's quite open about that phase.
His claimed operational history under the anonymous banner, though, is extensive. Over 30 major ops since 2011, according to him.
He lists early ones like OpTunisia, OpDarkNet, targeting sites involved in child exploitation.
He also claims significant involvement in things like OpFerguson, targeting police sites, and then major geopolitical campaigns like OpRussia and OpIran starting in 2022.
And his claims regarding OpGeorgia are particularly vast, hacking every government ministry.
Compromising over 27,000 computers, he says, even disrupting public transport payment systems in Tbilisi.
These are, again, the specific details and claims we find in the source material we looked at.
And more recently, he claims targets including conservative U.S. media, political figures, OpGOP, Alex Jones.
Yeah, and he makes that specific claim that he personally took down InfoWars for 2 days using just a $25 VPS.
Which directly contradicts other narratives about that specific event, it's worth noting.
Absolutely. He also mentions involvement in Op Moms for Liberty. And again, just to be clear, we're relaying what's in the sources here.
Yeah.
Presenting his claims neutrally.
Not endorsing, just reporting what the material says.
Exactly.
So looking back at the sources, SPYDIRBYTE's narrative is this really striking journey, isn't it? From that profound early trauma.
Yeah, and the acquisition of these powerful digital skills kind of forged in that fire.
To finding this stated mission within the decentralized banner of Anonymous.
And there's that undeniable contrast right there in his own account between his acknowledged dark past selling identities, enabling harmful stuff,
which he explains as being drowning in anger,
and his current claims of fighting for justice and freedom. It's a real juxtaposition.
And the specific claims he makes about operations are just massive. That $25 VPS taking down InfoWars, or the sheer scale of OpGeorgia, he claims.
But as the sources highlight, and just the nature of anonymous operations confirms, verifying any of these specific claims independently is, well, it's notoriously challenging.
Because of the anonymity, the OPSC involved.
Precisely. Which really brings us back to a central question this deep dive kind of raises for you, the listener, to think about.
Okay.
In this world of digital shadows, where individuals operate under pseudonyms, claiming both harmful actions and acts of justice, where do the lines actually blur?
Between, say, vigilante justice driven by personal pain and outright cybercrime.
Exactly. And how do we as observers evaluate the impact and legitimacy of actions when the identity, the full context of the actor, is deliberately obscured?
It's a tough one.